So this is the second video, and I'll show us how to get started in contributing to the front-end project. So we'll come to GitHub, and then while you're on github.com, you search for KCAU Tech, like this, KCAU hyphen Tech. And then you will come here to users, and you'll see two users. You will use the first one that says KCA University and then KCAU Tech. This is the one that has the repositories that we are going to work on. So for front-end work, your repo is going to be this one that is called plainly bookface. This is the one that we're going to use. The one for backend is this one, and the one for mobile is this one, the one for Flutter. So we're going to get in here, and then now once you are here, you can easily get started by cloning the code. This is the code, and we can come here and do copy URL to clipboard, and then come to VS Code. So on VS Code, you will need to open a new window. So whatever project you are working on, whatever you are working on, just come to File on the top left, go to Window, New Window, and then you will get something like this. Once that happens, you can click Clone Git Repo, and it will open an input box here, up here, where you can paste the URL that you fetched from GitHub. Once you press enter, it will ask you where do you want to clone this folder, this project into. So you can go and choose the folder. I've chosen VS Code project. That's one way of doing it. And then you select repository destination, and then it will clone the work for you. But the other way is, because I know some other people will not be using VS Code and they do not have this direct approach, is you can come to the terminal and then go to the folder that you want. So just like as I've shown us that mine is on CD VS Code project. So I've already changed directory into it, and as you can see, this is the empty directory. So I can come here and do git clone. Let me copy it once again. So now it is cloning that project onto a folder called bookface. So now we can check what is inside the directory, and you can see bookface is in there. So you can now come to VS Code or whatever editor or IDE you're using, and then you can come and open a folder. You open folder, you choose the directory that we chose, and then you choose bookface, and then you select folder. Once you've opened it, this is the project that you're going to start with. So you now need to install all the dependencies that you're going to use for building. So you can come here and do cd into bookface, then you do npm install. Now this will install all the packages that are required for you to get started with this project. So you do npm install. As that is installing, let me show you that all these steps that I am following are on GitHub. So you go to the GitHub repo, that is KCAU Tech Bookface, github.com/KCAU Tech Bookface, and then you come to the dev branch. don't stay on the main branch here, use the dev branch. Then on the dev branch, once you've changed to the dev branch, you can come down here and check the readme file. So on the readme file, you can clearly see the steps. So we cloned the repository, we changed the directory into it, we've done npm install. So now it's currently, it has just finished. And then now the next step is you're going to do npm run dev. So once we do this, it will start a development server for us, and we will be able to see the code changes, just like you would start any Next.js project if you're starting it. So it has started the development server, and then we can go to this URL. So let's wait for it to open. It is building, and then now it should be ready anytime now. And if you get errors like these ones, these are just warnings that are telling you that some of the packages that Next.js uses, like this one, is being deprecated and it is not going to be supported. But as for us, we can't do anything about that, so we just get started. So this is the code saying KCAU bookface. So let's get back to GitHub. We've run it and we've opened the application there. The other thing now is now when it comes to contributing your code. So before you contribute code, you need to follow these steps, because these steps are very crucial to ensure that the code that you push to GitHub is already up to date with what is already existing on GitHub. Just remember this, that GitHub is the source of truth. So if you have a version of the code that is sitting on your machine that is not the one that is on GitHub, just know you are either too far behind or you're working on an entirely different project. So always ensure that your code is the one that is the one on GitHub, unless you are making changes to the code. So we'll start by doing git fetch. Git fetch will fetch all the code that is on GitHub. So once you come here, we can, let's use the terminal on VS Code. So this terminal, and then we can do git fetch. Git fetch will fetch all the branches, all the code that is on GitHub. So if you want to fetch a specific branch, you will do git pull origin from origin. So git pull from origin, what branch do you want? So for example, we want the main branch, so you do that. And then it will pull only the code that is on GitHub from the main branch. It won't pull all the other branches. So that's something that you should know. So the next step is to create a feature branch. So now, for example, we want to change some code. So we've seen here that this is how our home page looks like, and we want to change some of this code. What I can advise us is, anytime you are working on this project, remember that you should always be working on the dev branch. So when you do git branches, and let me even increase the size that you can clearly see. So hapa kwa terminal, when you do git branch, it tells you the branches that it has locally. But on what is it called, on GitHub, there are many other branches. So for example, there is git check out dev. So this is a dev, and you see it is telling you this branch dev is set up to track what is on the origin slash dev. So what is on GitHub. So if you switch to the dev branch, there are multiple branches. As you can come here and see, there are 3 branches. So there's the main branch, there's the dev branch, and there's this readme branch. This is someone who has created a readme branch. So now that's what we're going to see here right now. That once you want to work on some code, you ensure that you are always on the dev branch. And now from the dev branch, if you want to make a change to the code, you create something called a feature branch. So a feature branch is one where you've created a branch out of one branch, but that branch is following the dev branch. So whenever you're done with it, you can easily merge it back onto dev and move on and implement another feature. So for example, we want to put a button. So we want to put a button on this page, for example. So I want to change the text here. Instead of it saying I want to add something, we want to add here. I want to add something. So while we want to add, we come here and we first of all create a feature branch. So we do git check out of the dev branch, git checkout, and this hyphen b is to signify that you want to create a new branch that doesn't exist before. So you want to create a new branch called home page. You can put hyphen there, git checkout hyphen b home page, and then you need to add the word dev after, because it is signifying that you're creating a branch out of the dev branch. If you create a branch out of the main branch, it might be a problem when you go to merge your code. So this is the best way. So you create a branch out of the dev branch, and then it creates the branch, this branch, and it also checks out into it. So it goes into it. So now once you do any changes, so for example you want to create a h1 that says this is the home page, something like that, and then we save the code. Once we have saved the code, we've made our changes. On VS Code, there is this button here that for source control. You can come here and you see the changes that you've made. You've clearly made changes on page.jsx, and this one is it. And you want to push your code to the main to the GitHub repo on the dev branch. So you first of all come here and you do git. So all these steps I am following are on the contributing section here. So you see we did git fetch, and then we've done git checkout. We've given the feature branch a name, and then we've said that we are making a branch out of the dev branch, and then we've made some changes to the code, and then we now want to add the changes onto a staging area. So the staging area is the area where the code that you want to commit, you've not yet committed the code, but you want to commit it, stays. So these changes that are here, once we do git add, let's do git add. Look at the title here for changes. It will change. Yeah, so changes was here. It has been moved to staged changes. These are changes that are being prepared to be committed. If you don't stage your changes, when you commit code, it will tell you there's nothing to commit. So first of all, you need to git add, and this git add dot does it adds everything that is in the changes is added to the staged changes. But if you want to add a specific file, you do git add. I think you do it like this, and then you choose the file that you want. So for example, like a readme.md, something like that, the one that is here and that is on the root kabisa. So it will add it, but that is only if it exists kwa the staged kwa changes. If it doesn't exist, it won't work. So that's something to know. So now once we've staged our changes, we check out our next step. Our next step is to commit the changes, and this is how we commit. You do git commit -m, then you do a short descriptive commit message. So we come here, git commit, and then you do added homepage title, something like that. And then once you commit, these changes are now ready to be pushed. But remember, they are being pushed to the home page branch that you created, the one that you are working on for this specific feature that you are trying to implement. So once that has been done, you need to now push these changes to home page feature branch. So you come here, push the changes to the feature branch that you created. So git push origin. So you git push, but to the origin, which is GitHub. Always remember that origin means GitHub. So git push to origin, and then your feature branch name. So for us, it will be git push home page. Git push origin and page. Then once we push this code will now will have been pushed to the home page branch, and we can come here and refresh. Clearly you don't even need to refresh, it is here. Home page had recent change pushes 3 seconds ago. Once you see this, you need to come here and do compare and pull request. Wewe mwenye make changes, you will need to do this, compare and pull request, and then it will ask you open a pull request, and then it will ask you where do you want to push to merge your code to. Always remember to merge your code to dev. If you merge your code to main, that will mean that your code will be on a different branch other than the one everyone else is working on. And the one we're working on is the dev branch. Once we've reached a certain point and stage in our development process, we will merge our code to the main branch, and then now we will be able to test it from the main branch. But right now, when we are working on the code, always remember to merge to dev branch. If you don't do this, if you choose main or you forget and you don't change the settings here, sometimes it will tell it is not able to merge, and that is a problem. But right now, when it's saying it is able to merge, it is still a problem, because once you push your code, or once you merge your code, your code will not be seen by everyone else, because people are working on the dev branch, and you've just merged your code to the main branch, which will merge later on once we've built one of the main features. So remember here, you go to dev branch. So you are trying to merge the home page onto the dev branch. Ile you will check out of. So remember when we were here, we checked out. So we were on the dev branch, and then we checked out and went into the home page, but we created the branch from the dev branch. So now we want to merge it back. Once you merge it back, your code will reflect and everyone will be able to access it. So that's the main thing. Ensure that here you choose dev and here homepage. And then the next step is here to choose reviewers. Currently there's only one other account that is on this repo, and it is the admin account, the KCAU Tech. Currently I'm on my personal account. So you choose someone. You can request directly like that, or you can come here and choose. If there will be others, you can choose others, and then you can. That's the person who will review your code so that they allow it to be merged to the dev branch. So once you've chosen your reviewer, you come here to the description and you fill in these details. So for the title, you come here and copy this one and paste it here. So, and then you do a short description. You can say added a title homepage to the homepage. I just say add the title homepage, and then this you need to do a checklist to say that you've clearly done what your code has is working and is up to standard. So if you do this and then the reviewer checks and sees that your work is not working, they'll hold you accountable to this. And then finally, what changed? Here you will say the home page JSX file, or you can be as descriptive as you want. Just ensure that you're able to communicate to the person who is reviewing your code to know what they need to check so that they can push your code, they can merge your code easily without having to ask you many questions. So you can come here and check and see what you are creating a pull request about. So clearly this is what we changed, and that's what we want to create a pull request about. So come create a pull request. Then once you've done that, a few things are happening in the background. The first one is the review is being sent, a notification is being sent to the person you chose as your reviewer, and then a few checks are being done. This is part of the CI/CD that I talked about in the first video. You can see all the checks. So it checks whether the deployment is able to be deployed onto Vercel, and then it checks for other Vercel tests. Then once the review has been approved, it will be easy to merge the pull request. Remember, we chose to merge the pull request to the dev branch here. Then Camdy wants to merge one commit into dev from the home page. So once the review is approved, it will be easy to merge. So let me show you how for a reviewer this goes about. So on the reviewer's side, they come to the pull requests here, and they check and they see there's one open pull request that hasn't been approved, and it needs to be approved or to be reviewed at least. So you come, you see that anasema amechange homepage title, that's what, and approve that the checklist. And then what changed? This changed, and ensure you're as detailed as possible. Sizing ninafanya hivi just for demo purposes. Then you can see that the checks have passed. So the only thing that is remaining is for this person, for the admin to review. So unakuja hapa juu unafanya add your review. This is for the people who have these privileges, and then you can check and see that clearly they've added the homepage title, they've only changed one file. If many files are being changed, you will see each file that has a change will be listed here. So you do review changes. Now here hapa kwa review changes, this is also another crucial bit. If you don't necessarily want to turn down the person. So for example, the person has implemented something using an approach that you hadn't thought about, you thought was worse in terms of performance, just basic implementation that you don't like it. So you can leave them a comment here and tell them, have you thought about doing it this way? Have you tried this approach? Have you tried this library? Something like that. But you're not refusing turning down the pull request. You're just conversing with that person over why they've chosen this approach, this library, this framework, things like that. That's the first step, comment. Then the final one here is request changes. So for example, someone has used a library that is either deprecated, but this should have already been caught kwa the tests, but someone has used an approach that you do not like. Either they've named a variable very arbitrarily and vaguely, and you need them to change it and give it a more descriptive variable. You come here and you say request, you choose request changes, you tell him give the variable a better name, or a better a more descriptive name. So that is request changes. And then there is now the approval. Here the approval, you do not need to leave a comment. You accept this code is okay, there is no need to comment anything. Then you do submit review. Once you submitted the review, the code now goes all green, the checks are complete, and then you can clearly merge the pull request. So here you can add some describes the page. So you can add a description to what the person who was creating the pull request had already said. So you can come here and then confirm merge. So now this is already created, and it is good that every time you've merged a branch, you come here and also delete the branch, so that for example in the future when someone wants to create a branch with the same name homepage, they can clearly do so because it will have been deleted. So you come here and then you delete the branch. Deleting the branch doesn't delete this interaction that you had. We can clearly go back in time and see what happened, what are the changes that were made, who approved the changes, and things like that. So yeah, and then you can come here to the code and check the dev branch, and you can see here 12 minutes ago this was added homepage title, and that is working. But there is one last step, which is to check, as you can clearly see here, submit a pull request, which we've done, go to the pull request page which we've done, and then create a pull request for your code with at least one reviewer. This we've done. And now once your code is approved, it has been approved and has been merged onto the dev branch, your changes will be live on the bookface URL. So you can click here, and then it will take you to the bookface URL, and you can clearly see here homepage. What we changed has now been reflected. So that is how you contribute to the Next.js front-end application for the bookface project. But before you do anything else, once your code has been approved, or once you want to do something else, you come here and then you do git fetch, so that you always have the latest code, so that if you go to Git, you do checkout to dev, your code is up to date with what first of all we need to git fetch also. So your code will be up to date with what is on the 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 repository, the origin on GitHub. Let's do git pull origin. Yeah. So this works better. So use this git pull origin dev. So this is yours. You can also pull everything, git pull origin. So everything that is on the GitHub is now also on your machine. So if you want to do a new feature, you do it like that. So something that I also want us to learn is, if you want to implement a specific feature, I advise us to use this approach. You come to the issues section, or the issues tab, and then you create a new issue. And for for GitHub, an issue is not a problem. An issue is something that needs to be worked on. So you can come here and report a bug. A bug now is what will be a problem. You're saying there's a problem in the code, it is behaving this way, and it needs to be changed. You can also do a feature request. So this will be what we'll look at. So you can do a feature request, give the feature request a name. So you give it a name, and then you fill in these details. So a feature summary. So for example, you want to implement a nav bar. So you'll come here, do a feature request title, explain the nav bar, why it is needed, say for easy navigation, and then propose a solution. Here you can give a few details. If you can't really describe the solution, um, don't say anything, just move on. If you have any UIs that you'd like to implement, whether it is screenshots, whether it is UI mockups that you've done on Figma or whatever, that is what you can attach here. And then finally, if this feature request is in response to another issue, so you can link that GitHub issue here. So you do that, and then you create the issue. Once you've created the issue, so let's go ahead and do that. So I've written a few of the requirements with the feature summary. I've put in add a responsive navigation bar to the Next.js project using Tailwind CSS, improve user experience. This is why it is needed. Improve user experience by providing easy navigation, and that proposed solution is by implement a navigation bar using Tailwind CSS for styling, and utilize Lucid React for icons, and also do a bit of this. Then you can also come here and check how it will look to other people, and then you can, once you've dealt with that, you can come here and do assign yourself. So you can assign someone else. So for example, me, I can assign to someone else. But if you want to do it yourself, you assign it to yourself, and then you come here and you create it. So when someone goes to the website and they're like, this website needs to have a navigation bar, they can come to the GitHub repo and see that there is an issue. See, there is an issue that is open. It hasn't been dealt with. It is open, and that means that someone needs to work on it or is already working on it. So it has been assigned to Dan Camden, and he is working on it currently. If I have any questions about it, like I can ask him, how does he how are things going, kama take too long, ama kama kuna any problem unahitaji usaidizi, you can ask, put a comment and then you ask, and then you can also take part in ensuring that this feature gets implemented. So that's what you do. You come to this, and you've already created this issue. So now you need to be able to work on it. So you come here to development, create a branch for this issue, or link a pull request. Those are the two ways. You can easily create a branch here, and then you can name the branch name navbar. It is simpler. And then you do the repository destination is that the branch source should be, remember we're putting everything qua dev. And then what's next? Check out locally. I'll use locally, I won't use the GitHub desktop. You come here, create branch. So it tells you check out in your local repository and then follow these steps. So do git fetch origin. So I'll do that. I'll come copy. I'll do git fetch origin. Let's check it doesn't have, so we'll just come in and do git checkout now. Copy that. Yeah, it has switched to it. So we can do clear, and then we can write the code that we need to write. So let me do that and then come back. So I have implemented the navbar, simple navbar. You can see here. You can change this and call it book face, and then save that. So when you come here to the source control, you can see that we've changed the package lock.json. That's because we've implemented this package called Lucid React. So that has changed the package lock.json as well as the package.json. And then the page.jsx, that's where I've imported the navbar. Yeah. And then the navbar itself. So these are the things. And then remember that we checked out into the navbar, so we can come here and do git add all those files. So they've been staged, the changes, and then we can do git commit with a message called added navbar. And then now we can do git push origin navbar like that. So yeah, there it has been pushed, and then we come and we do let's refresh this. Okay, so we do a pull request. So navbar had recent pushes less than a minute ago. We do compare and pull request. We do navbar. I'll fill in this. We can just for demo purposes just added navbar, and then we can sorry about that. So remember our steps for a pull request. We come here and we choose dev, and then we ensure that this is still navbar and it says able to match, and then we choose a reviewer, so KCAU Tech, and then here we just choose to do added navbar for demo, and then we can do create a pull request. So here it will require a review, so we'll come here and then go to pull requests as KCAU Tech Club, and then look here, we have added navbar, this feature or enhancement, and then we can check to see that this test has passed, and it just requires us to review it. So you come here, add your review, and then review the changes. Let's approve it. And we can merge. Merge pull requests from that. Yes. So we merge it. And we remember that we delete it so that somebody else can create the same branch. Then we can come here to issues. We check out these issues, and um, let's check using my account. So the branch has been closed. So you can come here once you've already worked on it. You can come here and do close as completed, and yeah, close this as completed now. So so this feature is already worked on. So it is closed. So yeah, that's how you contribute to the code for the front end, and it will basically be the same for backend and for Flutter, except just a few minor changes here and there because they are different platforms altogether. But the process will just be the same. You write your code, you push your code, and then your code is automatically integrated. Like we can check here and see that once we refresh this, it will have the navbar that we created. So that's it. You don't need to do anything. Your main focus should be writing the code, and the rest will sort itself. So the integration and the deployment, that is already done for you. So yeah, that's all. I hope I've been able to explain in detail everything that needs to work. So if you have any question, just reach out to me, and I'll be able to help.